Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever or wherever you may be listening. Welcome to another show on the Sports Music and Life podcast. Today I'm going to cover about the Josh Taylor fight, but first I'm going to start with the sad news of Georgia O'Connor, who sadly passed away at the age of 25. That is no age to pass away, and I don't believe I see her fight, but no one wants to hear the sad news like that, especially at that age, such a young person to go away from us. Rest in peace, Georgia O'Connor. Now, for those who are new to the show, what I do is I have notes written down on my phone from the fight at the weekends that I watch, and I'll go through the undercards. I didn't see the first fight, but I caught the end of it, and it was a stoppage win, and that was for a lad called Alois Jr. Sorry if I pronounced it wrong. Versus Jameson, and I believe Jameson went down 3 times in that fight. Alois Junior getting the stoppage. Now I did tune in for this fight, and this fight was the second fight, and it was a debut for a Scottish lad called Reece Lynch. I believe he had a great amateur background, done well in the Commonwealth Games, and he was fighting a lad from Brazil called De Oliveira. Oliveira hadn't, I believe, only been stopped once before this, maybe twice. I can't exactly remember what they said in the commentary, but I'm pretty sure it's once. So he come with a bit of, a bit of toughness. He was a journeyman, which you would expect at this stage for a lad like Reece Lynch coming into. So let's get into it. So round one, Reece Lynch started really well, using a variety of punches, getting a lot of meat behind his punches. He got straight down to business, like I said. He was getting a lot of weight behind his punches, and looked really impressive, must say. And that he was certainly looking like he had a nice bit of skill to him. Like I say, he was fighting a journeyman, but on first viewing of him, he looked really good. So going into round two, Lynch was getting behind his jab again. He was going head to body to head, opening up that shot for the head to the finisher shot, or to land hurtful shots. Even the body shot, they're not very nice to take. As you've seen with fighters, they can wince in a lot of pain after them. So he was using his right of punches again. And at the end of the round, he put Oliveira down, and Oliveira didn't recover from it. And and it was a great stoppage, and Lynch went on to win that. And like I said, he had a variety of punches, and he stopped a guy that hadn't hardly ever been stopped before. So that was the first fight I tuned into, but it was the second fight of the night. So going into which would have been fight number 3 of the night, and that was the really up and coming heavyweight fight, and really intriguing and really exciting to watch, Moses Atoma. And he fought a guy called Balogun. Balogun is the guy he fought, who was a tough lad. Atoma, for me, he's like watching a young AJ, but a bit more skillful and a lot more speed, but carries power in both hands. So he's certainly one for the future. So let's get into this fight then. So Atoma was using his jab to the body, looking for a little bit of an opener, and trying to have a little workout, see where he can land his shots against Balogun. Balogun was throwing a hook, and he was missing a lot because the Atoma was just getting out of the way. And I thought, God, you know what? If he catches one of them, it'd be interesting to see if Atoma could take the punch, because that's all that's left for me to see for Atoma, whether he can take the punch or not. He can certainly dish him out, can't he? So he was missing a lot of his hook, Balogun. and Toma was handling with ease. He did sort of look like he hurt him, or troubled him with his first big shot of the fight. That was round one, so we're going into round two, and it started with a big knockdown. I've got down here very early and fair play. Balogun, he gets up, he was hurt from it. And then there was another big knockdown, and this one he was flat on his back. And Balogun was a tough guy, mate, and fair play to him, yeah, because he looked like he was out on his feet on that punch, and he got up and he comes steaming in, and Atoma catches him beautifully, and he lands flat on his face. It shouldn't have really gone on after the second knockdown, really, but it did, and Atoma comes away with a great win. He's certainly one for the future. I'd like to see him against someone like Fabio Wildley. I think that'd be a very, very, very interesting fight for him. They're both under the same stable. Certainly one for the future. And if he keeps progressing the way he does, maybe down the line he'll be fighting Daniel Dubois for a heavyweight title. All seeing how that turns out with Usyk. He's not ready for Usyk yet. Is anyone really ready for Usyk? He's the top dog at the moment, and his level's above everyone at the moment in the heavyweight division. But he's certainly one for the future, and really looking interesting to see how it all pans out for him. So yeah, big fan of Atoma. So right, we're going to go into fight 3, and this is Nathaniel Collins versus Lee McGregor. This one was a bit of a derby match, so it's what have we got? You got Glasgow versus Edinburgh. There's a bit of spite in these fights. There's been some good fights over the years. With the Edinburgh and Scotland, Edinburgh and Glasgow derby, sorry. So McGregor was stepping up a weight for this one. I had seen McGregor fight before, and I enjoyed the fights I have seen of his. So let's get and Collins is another good fighter. I believe I have seen him before. I've watched so much boxing, it's hard to pinpoint where I'd seen him fight. So yeah, I was looking forward to this one. So let's get into this one, round one. So McGregor was throwing wild punches for me here, and he was getting picked off with the counter punches, lovely screw shot uppercuts that were coming in from Collins, and he was catching McGregor a lot. And McGregor was really throwing wild. He was really trying to go for it. Collins was just picking him off with them lovely counter punches, and it was a good end to the round. It started a bit slowly. I've got down here, so it did start a bit slow, which it tends to be in boxing. They either get straight down to business, or they have a bit of a workout and then get down to business, or they spend a couple of rounds or round or so working each other out and working where they can get their shots off and stuff like that. So yeah. So that was a good first round. Going into round 2, McGregor was missing again. And again, Collins was just picking him off with the counter punches. Like I say, he just couldn't miss with the uppercut, the screw shot. He was just there all night for him, and he was landing it beautifully. And then McGregor started to smother Collins to pin him down a bit, just to try to get over him a bit more, maybe rough him up on the inside. Hold on a second. And that was another round for Collins has got for me. Although McGregor sort of pinned him down a bit, he sort of did come into it a bit into that round. So we're going into round 3. Like I said before, Collins just couldn't miss with that screw shot. It was there open all night long. But McGregor started to settle down a bit more now in this round, and he started to get into the fight a bit more for me. And he was starting to land his shots, and he landed a lovely body shot. And he was slipping and sliding. He was making Collins starting to miss a bit more now. He sort of settled down a bit more into the fight, and and he was starting to look more lively. I think I might even gave him that round. And then going into round 4, McGregor starting it how he finished it. He wasn't rushing his shots so much, like I say, he was settling down and starting to catch Collins. I'll just have a little read, man. Now, yeah, so McGregor goes down, and at first thoughts, I thought, well, that wasn't a knockdown. I think he just fell. But then watching the replay, Collins really catches McGregor with a few punches, and and that's what sort of sent him on to go down. He didn't look hurt from it at this point, and he got up McGregor, and let's have a look at here, and then he goes down again, McGregor, and that was a body shot that put him down that time. So yeah, so took the wind out of him with that body shot. Fair play to McGregor. He gets up again, and then it was a lovely 1-2 finish from Collins, and the towel come in for McGregor, which was a shame. Who was just starting to settle down and get into the fight, but Collins is a very impressive fighter. I'm really impressed with him, and they do believe he can go on to have a world title shot. So yeah, another British world champion in the making there, eh? So yeah, good fight that one. Right, so now we're going to go into fight 4, and this was Josh Taylor versus Essuman. Can't say I know much about Essuman. I hadn't seen him fought before, but I had heard that he has a great engine on him, and he comes on later on in the fight. So those who see it, we all know what happened in that fight, but I'll get into it anyway. So, well, let's start talk. So, you know, what was surprising for me before this fight started, actually, was that Josh Taylor had less fights than Essuman, but had done so much more. And it was nice to see Josh step up to welterweight. He'd spent too long down at super lightweight or light welterweight, and you know, and once he had to split from Shane McGuigan, which he had to do for the same reasons as Cole Frampton, is that, you know, and I didn't feel like Josh was the same fighter, but he's under a great coach now called Joe McNally. And that's no disrespect to Ben Davis. He's been with some good coaches, Josh, but he really seems like he's back to the old Josh Taylor. And Josh Taylor is mustard. I really like Josh Taylor. Been a big fan of his for years. And, you know, he unified all them belts and beat everyone in that division at super lightweight. And that's when he should have gone up for me. I think he left it a bit too late and he lost to Lopez. And we'll get into the Catterall fight at the end of this. But for this start for Josh Round, so a good start for Josh. You know, he got straight down to business, going to the body, looking to land the hooks and stuff like that. So he's really putting everything into it. And I do believe Josh thought he was going to stop this guy earlier. But this Essuman, he was a tough lad. And he had a quieter round at this round, which is what they were saying on the commentary he tends to do. He tends to have a slow start and he comes on later on in the fight. So those who haven't seen it, you might want to turn this off, go and watch the fight and then come back to this, because there could be some spoiler alerts in here for you. So going into round 2, I've got on my notes Essuman was getting through with some nice right hands now in this fight. Josh was there to be cool. I think Josh was a bit open, you know, a bit ring rusty. He hadn't been in there for a while, and yeah, so a good round from Essuman. Let's have a little look what we got here. Yeah, so like I say, Essuman starting to get a work, and but I did, you know, I had Josh winning this round because Josh was landing the better punches, the righter punches, and he's using he's amazing boxing ability that he has. And but I do believe, like I say, he was putting too much into his early rounds, but we'll get into that bit later on. Excuse me. So going into round 3, Essuman catches Josh with a big shot. We've got down here at the start of the round. A quieter round for Josh. Not saying that he wasn't doing much, but it was a bit more of a quieter round, and Essuman took a bit more control of that round, I'd say. Essuman landed a lot more punches, and looking like he was starting to get right into the fight now. So yeah, so going into round 4, Josh got such a variety of punches. He really has. He is a world class operator, and I still believe he can operate at a world class level. But he'd been off for a while on that. But yeah, so You know, a lot of this is much of the same backwards and forwards all the way through this fight. Well, the same pattern, sorry, all the way through the fight. Um, Not so much all the way through the fight, but you get what I mean as I go on. And so, yeah, so what we got here, Josh. So, yeah, Josh stumbles Essuman in this round. And he wobbles back a bit. And then he comes back and recovers well and then fires back and wobbles Josh a bit. So, lovely little round four there, little, wobbled each other in that round. And so, I mean, I had Josh winning a lot of these earlier rounds, and they were very close rounds. As to a lot of these rounds in this fight were very close. Going into round five, like I just said there, it was getting hard to call. It was very much the same. They were very evenly matched, and I must say, I'm very impressed with Essuman. First time I'd seen him fight before, and very much looking forward to seeing him fight again. He certainly belongs at that level that he was at that night, and that showed it because he was mixing it really well with Josh. He wasn't out of his depth. At the start, you thought, he did look a bit out of his depth, but he really come into the fight very well. So going in halfway through, we're going into round six. We're halfway through the fight now. Josh was starting to get back on top a bit more now, so obviously he was starting to, like he did at the earlier rounds. He was on top of more of Essuman, and like I say, I'm not saying Essuman was out of his depth because that's far from it, but he got back on top a bit more, and he was starting to use his ring a bit more, his ring craft a bit more. Although he was getting told off a lot for sitting on the ropes later on in the fight, Josh, and I think that was the tiredness that kicked in then. So I gave that round to Josh. Just having a look at my notes there. So going into round seven, like I said, Josh. Oh no, sorry, that was round seven. Like I say, Josh was using the ring movement. So I had a bit of a mess up there. Yeah, Josh got cut in this round. That was a head clash. But those who watched Josh over the years know he does get cut quite a bit in his fights. And I gave that round to Essuman on my notes. So, yes, that was a round for Essuman. Sorry, I was looking at round six when I was reading the other one. But, yeah, so good round for Essuman, round seven. And he was starting to take a bit more control of the fight, from quite honest here now. A good round from Josh, round eight I've got in here. Josh got back involved, another close round. One of them, it could have gone any way. Like I say, there's a lot of backwards and forths. Still going to the body lot, and he was using a single body shot. Maybe could have thrown a bit more variety of punches, but like I say, I really thought Josh was really starting to tire at this point. Single shots to the body and that, but that was the pattern of the fight. But you could see the fitness levels were starting to show a lot more to Essuman, and he was in great shape and he was solid. I mean, them body shots wasn't even causing him any trouble. He was just solid, fit fighter. So we're going to go into round nine. A great round for Essuman, catching Josh with a lovely shot in this round. Josh came back in the last minute of the round, and another round to Essuman. So Essuman was really starting to pick up the rounds now, and like I say, you could really see the tiring on Josh. He was sitting on the ropes a lot. He really put a lot into these earlier rounds. And so we're going into round 10. Josh even catching Essuman with a lovely hook at this time. Essuman had a strong start to the round. A great round, both coming back at each other. Josh made Essuman a miss a little bit more. And just nicked that round I've got for Josh for round 10, so he's sort of come back into it because he's really getting a real good telling off from Joe McNally, because he was sitting on the ropes a lot and he really needed a good round. So we're going into round 11 now. Josh looking more tired as the fight was going on now. As the fight's getting towards the end, Essuman looking in the stronger and won that round. So Essuman, like I say, really strong lad, really fit lad. He reserves his energy well. He doesn't use too much up, and he reserved himself very well. And he, I think I got him down as winning that round. So we're going into round 12, and Josh really needed a good round to go on to win this fight. Even the corner was saying they were getting a bit worried. You could hear it in their voices that they were getting worried. A tough round to call again that I've got down in my notes, so it must have been a really close round. It's another round that could have gone any way. Now, obviously, for those who haven't seen it, Essuman went on to win the fight, and I thought Josh might have done enough in the early to nick it, but he got no complaints with the winner. Both put everything into that fight. I do believe where Josh lost it, it was the being out for so long and the fitness, and he put so much into them earlier round, which I think sort of cost him towards the end of the fights and the end of the round, towards the back end of the fight. Sorry, should I say? And so yeah, fair play to Essuman. Really impressed with him, and he certainly showed he deserved it at that level. Now, something else I learnt that night is Jack Catterall is moving up to the same weight as Josh. Now, it's 1-1 with them. I think Josh won the second fight but lost the first fight. So I know Jack Catterall's fighting Harlem Eubank. I don't know much about Harlem Eubank. I don't know what level he's at. I can't say I've ever seen him fight, but I think I'll probably say Jack's level is higher than Harlem Eubank. A former world title level fighter, although he hasn't challenged for a world title. Well, no, sorry, he did. Sorry, yeah, that was a big mistake because he obviously challenged Josh for Heat's world titles, which he should have won. But like I say, Josh outgrew that weight a long time ago, and he should have gone up. And it'd be interesting to see these two fight at this weight. I do think Jack Catterall can start really slow, and it's cost him a cut in his last fight. I think he sits back too much sometimes, and don't get me wrong, he's got great skill, great ring movement, and he's a very intelligent boxer, but I think he just sits back too much and waits too long, and that showed him in the fight against Roger, forgot his name now, Regis Proje, and it wasn't until he got caught Catterall that he really come to life, and so he's definitely got it in there, but like I say, I think he just starts a bit too light, so it'd be interesting to see them two fight at this weight and have the decider, and because I think he needs a decider in my eyes. But let's not forget that Josh has fought at a really good level, and he's a great fighter, and I think what done him on Saturday night was his fitness, and he put too much into them earlier rounds, and that's taking nothing away from Essuman because he was a cracking fighter and really impressive to see. So yeah, so that's another show coming to the end here. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll keep bringing you the music and boxing content. So yeah, thank you for listening to another show, and yeah, speak to you all soon.